Well, hello, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Our next trolley stop is here, and our next trolley stop is now. Welcome back to another all-new episode of PR from the Heart's children's book Spotlight series. To be precise, we have reached episode number 201. It's pretty cool saying 200 plus episodes now on the children's book Spotlight series. Welcome back to the Children's Book Spotlight series for another all-new trolley stop of this program that we have loved doing for all of you, our friends, our neighbors, our fellow shining stars, all the children all around the world. My name is John Masiulionis, the manager of PR from the Heart, and of course, the host of the Children's Book Spotlight series. But in comes my little faithful furry friend and companion, little Forrest, and he reminds me, as always, while he's chewing his trusted treats on his end of things, he says, John, remember, we are co-hosts in this ultimate adventure called life and the Children's Book Spotlight series. So little Forrest is joining me as well, too. We hope that you are fully immersed in your month of March. I know that for many people, March is about a month of madness. If you're a college basketball fan, we're not about madness here on the Children's Book Spotlight series. We're about creating memories during the month of March as well, too. And of course, we're just a couple of days away from the start of the spring. And when we move forth in the spring, we start some new adventures. There's always newness that comes in during the spring. During the wintertime, depending upon where in the country you live, depending upon where in the world that you live, it can seem a little bit dark. But then, there's the light that comes in, right? If you remember that awesome musical that came out so many years ago, Hair, the Let the Sun Shine In, right? That's kind of like what happens during the spring because the days and the nights become longer. But when we're moving forth in life and when we're doing our part to be able to venture forth, we can experience some challenges and difficulties and obstacles and problems and some stressors and troubles and worries. And many of us, we need to be able to tap into those reserves that we have within us in order to be able to take the time to achieve the success and the happiness that we want. There's really no such thing as the happiness gene or the success gene, right? But one of the most powerful things that can help us to get to that success, to get to the happiness is courage. Now, behind many of the brilliant successes in life, there are failures, there are rejections, there are unexpected turns, often many. But this is where courage comes in. This is where bravery comes in. Mountains of bravery to be able to continue to move forth, to find a different way. And then also to show up. Because oftentimes in life, bravery just involves showing up each and every day, even when you don't necessarily have a smile on your face. And especially for all children, right now, moving forth, they're starting to wind down the school year. It's hard to believe, sooner than we know it, it's going to be the start of summer break. And our kids need to continue to be able to remember on their end of things that they can do whatever it is that they put their mind and their heart to in the process, even like the super duper difficult kinds of things. Leave it to a brand new children's book to help us see the way. Now, this is not only a featured children's book Spotlight series episode. This is where kapow, kapow, birthday emojis, cake emojis. We're celebrating a book birthday. And every once in a while here on a Children's Book Spotlight series episode, we are very fortunate to be able to celebrate the release, not only just feature a brand new children's book, but have its launch be celebrated on the Children's Book Spotlight series. We encourage all of you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars, to head on over to kinderpress.org. That is kinderpress.org for those of you who are scoring at home. We also encourage all of you to head on over to amazon.com if that is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing and purchase your copy of Bravery Is My Thing. That is the newest children's book from the heart of one of our favorite neighbors here at PR from the Heart, Natcole Staskiewicz, award-winning children's author. Of course, if Amazon.com is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing, one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Natcole is to leave a 5-star review for Bravery Is My Thing. And then, of course, is letting her know that she's doing wonderful work for children, parents, wonderful and much needed work, I should say, for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books, as we are now officially in the 200 plus episodes of the Children's Book Spotlight series, thanks to, of course, Sharon and Randy Hampson. You remember them and you love them. Of course, we were talking so much about the beloved Canadian children's music group, who not only were very well known in Canada, but all throughout the world. That's right. Skinnamarink-a-dinky-dink, Skinnamarink-a-doo. I love you. That is now available. So, of course, that was episode number 200. We shift gears to episode number 201. The trolley's a little pooped and little tired because we had the opportunity to spend some quality time with our friends and neighbors in New York City at Kidlit TV. And one of those friends and neighbors is joining us. The trolley travels from San Diego all the way to the Motor City of Detroit, Michigan, joining us for her return episode, her return appearance on the Children's Book Spotlight series, joining us here to celebrate the worldwide launch of Bravery Is My Thing, his award-winning children's author, Natcole Staskiewicz. Natcole, we appreciate the free time and thank you for joining little Forrest and I, and happy book birthday to Bravery Is My Thing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited, in case you can't tell. And for those who are learning about Natcole's work for the first point in time, we encourage all of you to enjoy episode number 186 of the Children's Book Spotlight series, where we had the opportunities to share and talk about the release of her previous children's books, Lacey's Moon, Dear Child of Mine, and Kindness Is My Thing. Put a pin in that, as we're going to be circling back on that momentarily. But we've included the link below for episode number 186 of the Children's Book Spotlight series so that you can enjoy that as well. And of course, for those who are new to our neighborhood, one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for us here at PR from the Heart for the Children's Book Spotlight series is to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel and to share this very special trolley stop that you are now enjoying. That is episode number 201 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. Join the more than 10,000 plus members of the PR from the Heart family who are officially subscribed to our YouTube channel. I'm really excited about this book, Natcole, because there's so many people right now, not even just children, but adults alike. They're all doing their part. It's kind of like it's interesting. I just actually saw it was the 85th anniversary screening of The Wizard of Oz. It was just re-released in theaters within the past couple of weeks. And we all remember the Cowardly Lion, right? And he wanted to do big and brave things. And he's this strong lion, right? But he didn't have the courage. And of course, we won't spoil it for those who didn't see The Wizard of Oz, but the lion realized that he had it within him all along. I love this book on so many levels because it's especially needed right now, not only for kids, but for us as adults who, there's times where we're just trying to trudge along and we're like, I've got all my stuff together as an adult, right? And meanwhile, it's like we feel kind of shattered or broken or torn apart, or even just feeling scattered to a certain extent. We always, of course, as you know, start each Children's Book Spotlight series episode with an origin story. So for those who are learning about this book and your journey for this particular point in time, could you share with us the origin story of Bravery Is My Thing? It is obviously the follow-up to Kindness Is My Thing. So the main character star is back. We'll be talking about the book momentarily. But take us to that moment or moments in time where you knew that this message of bravery needed to be shared with children and adults alike across the country and around the world.
Absolutely. So I basically draw my experience from my own children. Kids are natural problem solvers. They always want to solve the problem. If they don't know the answer, they want to know why. They constantly ask why, or how. And even myself, reflecting when I was a child and want to seek that reassurance, that getting those comforting words, it seemed like kind of a stretch. So I wanted to put something together where kids can kind of see how the process flows and take away a little bit of that mystery so it can have some reassurance. And, so that way that they could also be able to use those tools that they learn and as a way to trudge through life.
And one of the things as well, too, is, and this is also why I'm really glad that this book is being released right now, is that kids right now are going through more than we did when we were kids, right? And obviously we had our own fair share of stuff that we were moving through, but now kids have different things that they have to deal with, whether it be a very socially media-based society where kids have earlier exposures to things that maybe we were exposed to later on in life. Why is it really, and this may seem like the very easy question to be able to answer, but I think the reinforcement is key. Why this message? Why now? Why is it really important? Because you know what, there's different messages that are found in children's books. There's kindness, which you've talked about. There's self-love that you've talked about, but there's something that, you know, some people can be like, this is a really difficult subject, right? Like, you know, let's just not take the time to talk about it and have this conversation. So why now? And why have this conversation about bravery with our kids, do you feel?
I absolutely feel that it's important to make sure that we provide that stable foundation. And children, they, if you don't talk about it, it creates a wall. So it creates more and more roadblocks in how they will interface with those different subjects. And I know bravery, you know, the children are, you know, our future. So we want them to, you know, grow up to be doctors, lawyers, whatever they perceive to do. We want them to believe that they can do it, and making sure that we have those conversations and that they understand that no matter where, you know, with the courage or, you know, anything, they're able to utilize what they see and also what you know, those conversations, and, you know, kind of help them feel a little more secure in their approach. So it's all about starting, right? And it's easiest when we were kids, because that's when we learned a lot of our habits. And so starting now when they're, you know, little is the absolute best. It teaches them those healthy habits, positive habits.
And I love the fact that we're bringing up the importance of having these conversations, especially parents with their kids. Because let's be honest, I mean, and I can't speak on behalf of being a parent. A dog dad, I can, right? But no parent has their act together. We're all learning, and we're all even kind of a certain extent, like flying by the seat of our pants as we go, right? So being able, there's times where maybe parents are afraid to have conversations with their kids, and kids are afraid to talk about certain things. So why not bring those big purple elephants into the room together, right? Because when you take the time to talk about something together, it's kind of like, all right, even though I have this fear, even though I'm a little bit worried or insecure, it's like, it just kind of helps to diffuse any of those insecurities, maybe not necessarily like extinguish them, but it's like, okay, I've got this. It's interesting because leading into the recording of our episode, like I was, you know, me being the recovering perfectionist that I am, like, I'm like, what is the ultimate definition of bravery, right? And in the back of your book, in an amazing, vibrantly colored page, I might add, you quote Marilyn Manson, who shared, bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is feeling the fear, the doubt, the insecurity, and deciding that something else is more important. And then, of course, and we're going to be diving into the pages of Bravery Is My Thing momentarily. Of course, Star has her interactions with her teacher, Miss B. And at the very end of the story, we're not giving away the whole kit and caboodle because we don't do that on the Children's Book Spotlight series, right? But Miss B, she adds to the board, bravery is when you are scared, but you do not let it stop you from doing things. Bravery in 2024 is a little bit different than bravery in 2014, in 2004, in 1994, in 1984. We can just keep going back with the fours, right? For those who are wondering, well, John, I was born in 74, 64. If there's anything that you can add to those definitions, like what do you feel? And this is coming through your lens as not only a children's author, but also as a parent, a fellow soul, someone who's navigating this planet with us, what do you feel, if you can add anything to Miss B's definition, if you can add anything to Marl's definition, what does bravery mean overall in 2024? And especially, what do you think bravery means to our kids in 2024?
Well, bravery means just the concept of don't be afraid, just try. If you fail, it doesn't matter. You tried. Bravery, that is a huge one to unpack. And to basically, I guess, taking the mystery out of it and to make sure that it's applied towards anything, that it doesn't have to be, because that's one thing, even with talking to your parents, you hear about the times when they grew up, and then you know right off that it's different. And so immediately you feel like, well, they don't understand because I'm dealing with this. They didn't never had to deal with this. So kind of putting it to a point where there is no, like, it's the same type of situation no matter what the topic is, and to drive home the main message of just, long as you try and do with your very best, that's all you could ever hope for. So it's really, I mean, that the quote that I included, that pretty much sums it up. And it's all about diffusing the misconception about what bravery is. And that's what intimidates Star, because it conflicts with what she believes of how to get to where she needs to be when she gets grown. So.
And I really appreciate you communicating that, because bravery also ties into the fact that, as I mentioned, we don't necessarily have our acts together, whether it be as, kids, whether it be as adults. And it's just a matter of embracing ourselves just as we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beforehand, back in the day, again, it would kind of be like where we would have to be, Superman and Wonder Woman, and just kind of like, I've got it, I'm moving through everything. And it's okay to express your vulnerability, right? We live in a society where, even though, kids may be exposed to things at an earlier age more than what they were before, even though where kids may have more on their plate, we're also encouraging our kids to be more vulnerable. We're encouraging our kids to be able to have these conversations with us, which is really very important, especially now as we head into the rest of 2024. Again, we encourage all of you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars, to head on over to kinderpress.org. Forrest, I know you're excited for the launch of kinderpress.org. You can also head on over to amazon.com if that is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. You can purchase your copy of Bravery Is My Thing. We will be diving into the pages of Bravery Is My Thing momentarily, as we are celebrating the official book birthday of Bravery Is My Thing here on the Children's Book Spotlight series. Again, one of the many ways you can pledge your support for Natcole is to leave a 5-star review on Amazon, which, again, you can let her know that she is doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books. For all educators across the country and around the world, you can secure your own virtual or in-person author school visit with Natcole, whether you're an educator in Detroit or in Denmark. Anywhere else in between. I believe that Denmark was the home of Hans Christian Andersen. So when we think of, I believe that it's International Children's Book Day, which is upcoming in a couple of weeks. And I'm almost positive Hans Christian Andersen was from Denmark, or one of the countries around Denmark. So needless to say, if you are an educator, there's plenty of great messages that Natcole can share with your students, whether it be bravery, whether it be kindness, whether it be self-love, whether it be the importance of connecting with your grandparents. So while you are on kinderpress.org, while you are on amazon.com, you can purchase as well your copies, in addition to Bravery Is My Thing, of Lacey's Moon, Dear Child of Mine, Kindness Is My Thing, and The Great Grandma Buffalo. Those are all now available in the process. And of course, we encourage you to continue to stay connected with Natcole on social media, as we have included her social media platforms in the description below. As I had mentioned, and as I had alluded to this earlier, the main character in the story, Star is back. Star was featured in Kindness Is My Thing, and now she is back in Bravery Is My Thing. And as I also alluded to, we don't like to give away the whole kit and caboodle of a story here on the Children's Book Spotlight series. This is a story where, whether you are, the perfect age of a picture book or a picture book reader, or if you are a parent, if you are a grandparent, it's a very relatable story. We can all place ourselves in the shoes of Star, and she's going into school and she's really learning about bravery. Could you share with us a little bit more about Star's journey this go around and some of the specific takeaways that kids will be able to take away from Bravery Is My Thing when they enjoy the book by themselves, or whether they enjoy it with their mom, their dad, their grandmother, their grandfather, or a fellow educator in class?
Yes. So in Bravery Is My Thing, Star is now learning about bravery in class, and she has two guests that appear, a police officer and a firefighter, and they begin to talk about their day in the life in their careers. Well, immediately Star, kind of puts together what it takes to be those things, and along with a quote that her teacher shared, that children are our future. So immediately she puts two and two together, like, wait a minute, I'm going to be grown one day. How am I going to have the strength or the courage to do these things? So it was kind of conflicting with what she believed she needed to be, the representation of what she needed to be in order to be a successful person. So again, what she did was she utilized her resources she had available. She spoke to the speakers, her teachers, her parents, and just having that support system that kind of gave her a different outlook on how to view courage and bravery. So what the takeaway is that I hope that kids have a new perspective, a new outlook on trying out anything that's new, and recognize that courage comes in different shapes and forms, and that they can kind of see where it can lead up and help them throughout life as they build those building blocks.
And one of the things that Star is really doing for all of us is encouraging us to be able to connect with and flex our bravery muscles. For example, when you go to the gym for the first time, and let's say, if you have weak abs, right? It takes time to work that muscle group, flex that muscle group, and strengthen it. So stepping into courage, stepping into bravery is just like, going to the gym and working on a specific muscle group, because eventually when that muscle group is stronger, greater chance the other muscles are going to be stronger. The joints, the ligaments, the tendons will all be stronger as well too. And you're able to navigate that much more swimmingly and fluidly when it comes to life. And so is the case when it comes to bravery and courage. We live in a society that's very cynical, that's very jaded, that's very judgmental. Like, what will other people think? And also, one of the things that I really love about Bravery Is My Thing is that, Star is not afraid to be herself. She's not afraid about, what will other people think about me? Because Star is very inquisitive, right? When she's like, okay, Star is on the case, I'm going to be able to learn a little bit more about this. She could easily be like, what would my friend think? Or what does the kid in the class who doesn't like me think? And Star doesn't, it doesn't really matter. I also love because I kind of felt when I was reading the story, being a child of the 80s and into the early 90s, I remember the line in the song, "The Greatest Love of All" by Whitney Houston. And she says, "I believe that children are our future." And I saw that on the chalkboard and I was kind of jamming out. Not gonna lie, Star was helping me to reconnect with my inner child, because that really is an anthem for all of us, whether we're a child or an adult, because really the greatest love of all is learning to love oneself. and that's a perfect thread to be able to blend into, because, talk to us about the connection between self-love and courage and bravery, because they may feel like and look like and sound like that they're completely different things, but just as which we were talking about beforehand, right? Like when you work that ab group, right? Then your legs become stronger and your brain becomes stronger.
Right.
Everything really is all connected. With your thoughts and your reflections, talk to us about the synergy and the importance of self-love and courage and bravery, all three of those together, not just individually, but together.
Yeah, so self-love is accepting oneself, and basically, you're being your best self. You're being true to yourself. And if it's something that's more important that you're a little fearful of, it's not dangerous, but you're a little fearful of because it's new and it's important, you decide to take those necessary steps to, complete the task. I don't have a hypothetical ready. I'm sorry, but
Oh, it's okay.
It definitely builds in because it's what's important to you, and knowing what's important to you, and again, staying true to yourself, and it's something that you want to do for someone or something you want to try or whatever have you. It definitely blends in because there are steps that you have to complete in order to get to that next phase. So fear is the misconception that you can't be afraid, and that's what she thinks. You can't be afraid if you're going to be a star, or not a star, but a doctor or a lawyer, whatever have you. And so that's something that she had to learn how to overcome. So it's allowing them to be able to properly, I guess, apply those measures with what they face on the day-to-day, that makes it all kind of come together with whether or not they're going to decide to have courage to deal with this situation and demonstrate bravery as they reach out into the unknown and do this new task that they're doing.
I also feel that you did something really special with Bravery Is My Thing, specifically on one thread where oftentimes kids need visuals. They need examples like, okay, there's this bravery thing. Can you show me someone that can help me to understand what bravery means, what it looks like? And you chose a police officer and a firefighter. And those are two careers where those brave men and women put their lives on the line each and every day. They go into dangerous situations, whether it be, burning buildings or, places being robbed, shootings. I mean, it's not it's not children's book energy. It's kind of like the things that you see in real life. Right. And these are, even if you remember coming back from our time in New York City, remember what happened on 9/11. And there were police officers, firefighters, emergency techs that went up those stairs, that went up those towers, and they knew they weren't coming down. And they knew that they still needed to do what they needed to do because that is what they were called to do on their end of things. So bravery not only can mean, doing something that you're afraid of, but maybe something that you're absolutely petrified to do, right? But knowing the fact that, again, bravery looks like different things to different people. And I really love that you included that at the beginning of the story, where it says, this book is dedicated to all my readers, serving as a heartfelt reminder that being brave is something that inherently belongs to each one of you. And also being brave looks different to different people, whether you're a senior citizen, right? Being brave could be crossing the street by yourself, right? Whereas, being a child, it could be, learning to tie your shoes for the first time and wondering, can I get it? Will I get it? Do I need my teacher to help me? That kind of thing as well, too. I know that I mentioned this to you when we were together in New York City at the Kidlit TV studios. There is talk to us about this particular thread, because I can only imagine, and obviously there's people that knew about this book coming out before it actually came out. Early on, when it comes to the thread of hearing, I wish this book were around when I was a kid. Have you been getting any of that kind of, earlier response on your end of things thus far?
Most definitely. And the common thing that I've also learned and share is that now that we are adults, we know the secret. We can reflect back even when we were kids and think about all the different areas that we were afraid to try, and just all our thoughts when we were younger. And then growing into adulthood, you kind of know what was really important, what wasn't, and what may have, if you would have mastered this one thing, like talking in front of others, when you're younger, that helps. It's a lot of different experiences and the message that they wish that they would have had enforced. And again, being a kid, they oftentimes don't know how to express, that they still have questions. And for this book, my kids, they always had questions. Even my son, I'll tell you a quick story. When he was just in kindergarten, and we always had this thing like on Fridays, we'll, go out and eat. His thing was he didn't care where we go. He loved to sit down and eat. And he this particular week was a busy week. So 2 days I brought bagels, and then one day, which was a Wednesday, I brought McDonald's. But every single day leading up to Friday, he'll ask, when can I sit down and eat? And when can we go out and eat? And so I would tell him, well, like, no, I don't have the money to do that right now. So not today. But anyway, we get to Friday, and he goes, okay, how about today? Can we go sit down and eat? And I said, well, not today. He said, well, maybe less than 30 seconds. He said, well, if you didn't get bagels on these 2 days, and I'm like, no, you're not. And you didn't get McDonald's on this day. I said, he's really going there. He said, well, you'll have enough to sit down and eat on Friday, wouldn't you? And I said, oh my goodness, just thinking about how the mind works and how they're already there. So just being challenged, that's just a little snippet, but they're just being challenged. And even now, kids, they're learning algebra in elementary. I didn't get to that until high school. So just having access to this information and the message, being younger, it would just help tremendously in our adult life. But only now we can kind of reflect and see that.
And I'm glad that you also touched upon that thread too, because we can't go back and dock Emmett L. Brown's time machine and go back to place this book back when we were kids. That'd be pretty cool if we could, but we can do our part to be able to do two of several things. We can help for the next generation of kids, but let's say if there's something that's unresolved or unhealed emotionally, we still have that inner child within us. Right? Even though we look like adults and we talk like adults, we have these adulting responsibilities, right? This is my adulting responsibility walk and dance, by the way. So if you ever see me around, I'm going like this. I'm out there doing my adulting thing, right? But we all have those sensitive or insecure or unhealed emotional aspects of ourselves. This is a great book for adults. Like, I'm doing my part to be able to let all the adults know in my life, like, especially if they're moving through something. This is a great book. We've talked about this over the 5.5 years. We've been doing the Children's Book Spotlight series almost since day one, how children's books are actually children's books, but in truth, they're actually books for us as the big kids. They're just disguised as children's books, right? We are beginning to wind down our time with our featured guest here on episode number 201 of the Children's Book Spotlight series, award-winning children's author Natcole Staskiewicz. The trolley is having some wonderful times out in the Motor City of Detroit, Michigan. We encourage all of you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars, to head on over to kinderpress.org. That's KINDERPRESS.org, and also Amazon.com depending upon which is your preferred online vehicle platforms of your choosing. But through both sites, you can purchase your copies of Bravery Is My Thing. One of the many ways you can pledge your support for Natcole is to leave 5-star reviews for not only Bravery Is My Thing, but she has written other children's books as well, too. Again, Lacey's Moon, Dear Child of Mine, Kindness Is My Thing, and The Great Grandma Buffalo. So again, that is 5 children's books. So that's many 5-star reviews that you can leave for Natcole, because again, that simply means that it's one of the ways you can pledge your support to let her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books. For all educators across the country and around the world, we have included Natcole's official website in the description below. Again, that is kinderpress.org. If you wish to be able to facilitate your own in-school, in-person, or virtual author school visit with Natcole, either during the springtime or during the back-to-school season, which sooner than we know it, that too will be just around the corner. You can connect with Natcole in the process through her official website. We encourage all of you to be able to stay connected with Natcole on social media. We've included her social media platforms in the description below. As well, if you want to be able to learn more about Natcole's amazing, super awesome journey, you can check out episode number 186 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. And we've included the description to Natcole's previous trolley stop on the program in the description below as well. So if you're scoring at home, the bingo numbers, even though bingo numbers only go from 1 to 75, I believe, if you're scoring at home, the numbers of the Children's Book Spotlight series bingo board are 186 and 201. When you have those two numbers, you get a good bingo here at the Children's Book Spotlight series. I feel like I want to give a homework assignment to our audience, to our listeners and viewers, and our friends and neighbors. And I think this is what I'll call, you know me enough, you've known me long enough to know that I like to ace out healthy challenges. Well, this is healthy homework, I'd like to say, because this is also homework that Star had during the course of her book. She had 4 questions that she had to answer. And we encourage all of you to be able to take the time to do this if you feel guided to do so. 4 questions. What does bravery mean to me? List some scary things that I'm afraid of. List the type of people I think are brave. And if I think I am brave. That's pretty solid stuff, whether you are a child or whether you are a full-grown adult. This is something I'm going to be doing within the next couple of days because, again, we all have something that, for some people, you're afraid of the dark. For some people, you're afraid the world's going to end. For some people, you're afraid of the deep end in the swimming pool. For some people, you're afraid of success, right? It can even just be those really super amazing things. Like you're afraid of stepping into the highest and best version of yourself. Right. So this is some really cool homework that I encourage all of you when you have the chance to enjoy your downloadable version of Bravery Is My Thing or the physical version of Kindness Is My Thing. And this kind of leads me into the thread that I wanted to talk about. There was a point in time where Natcole Staskiewicz was not award-winning children's author Natcole Staskiewicz. There was a time where there was not 5 children's books, but there were 0 children's books. Yes. So if you can kind of take us back to that, because there's many people who tune into the Children's Book Spotlight series that are aspiring children's authors, aspiring business owners. They want to be able to do something, to show more creativity, to step into their life's purpose, to simply just try something new even. Yes. Could you share with us that's how you were able to move through those fears and insecurities? Not saying that you had any, but I mean, I can imagine with us being, we all have some. Yes. We all have some, but I mean, it's almost like night and day. I can only imagine what it was like the before, and here you are, and afterwards you've got your books organized beautifully on your dresser. I might add, whoever told you that was a real solid gentleman right there, right? But take us through like kind of that like before and after snapshots when you were kind of moving through your own journey of bravery into stepping into being a really amazing children's author.
Thank you. So I didn't have much expectation. This was something that I always wanted to do. And you pretty much, you stay in your own head. Can I do it? where your priority is, and whether or not mentally, you allow yourself to do it. So with the pandemic, that put so much into perspective, and made me reevaluate what I was afraid of. But once I did that and said, hey, I didn't put any expectations on myself. Every single person that's ever written a book, it started with their first book, and didn't have to be a masterpiece, but we all started somewhere. And I had to remind myself, there's no such thing as a perfect person. We're all human. No one's perfect. So I went for my first book, expecting that to be it. And once I completed the first book, it was only then where that other aspect kind of awoke in me, where it's like, now, okay, now do this, now do that, now do this. But I couldn't get to that point until I started initially. So I would say to not overthink it. If it's something that's placed on you to tell your story, and I tell everyone that's the beauty and the thing that I love most about being an author, because it's your perspective, it's how you see things, and you can only write it, that story. So, just give yourself the time, whatever that's making you uneasy, assess what that really is. And if it's just fear of the unknown, I always say knowledge cures what you're afraid of. It's just the unknown. So get it up, just allocate that time for yourself and complete and research and do the steps you need to do to just start that one book. Don't think about the other books. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Just start, and you will surprise yourself. So that's my biggest thing of all, because trying and just the thought of what it could be can be that roadblock that stops a person from even starting. So don't even think that way. Just start. Just don't even put any type of pressure on yourself, and you'll surprise yourself.
I appreciate and I admire your vulnerability as well, too, because, one of the things that I have shared on previous episodes, more recently on the Children's Book Spotlight series, as well as in just, my work as the manager of PR from the Heart, that I am writing my first children's book right now. Right. Which, by the way, that's going to be really interesting what happens. Yeah. For those who are tuning in, it's like, yes, I've been doing the publicity thing for 10 years. PR from the Heart still, we're moving forth into our 10-year anniversary celebration very shortly. There's this other thing that wants to spring forth and be launched into the world. And, Lord knows I've got a copious amount of fear and insecurity. And who am I? I'm the publicist guy, right? I'm not the children's author, right? So it's a matter of taking the time to move through that. But I admire you, and I admire your bravery, because you started where you were. How does the expression, you start with what you have? Wherever you are, you start with what you have, and then you move forth. And I can really relate to, parents can relate to this. We can all relate to this, because we were once little children when Star is talking about, kids, Star's talking with her family in the book. And Star's mom uses the example about taking your first steps. You fell many times, but you kept getting up. It's interesting. This past Wednesday, I was at the La Jolla Rifford Library in San Diego for the second event of Deborah Saraceni's citywide book tour here in San Diego for the release of her best-selling children's book, Allie Protects the La Jolla Seals. And one of the little girls named Jolene, like the Dolly Parton song Jolene, she is learning to walk, and she was like, curious and climbing and whatnot, but she fell a couple of times, and this little one was also at the Fleet Science Center previously in San Diego, like the day before, and she had this, like, I think being part Polish, we would call them aukas, right? You get a little boo-boo right here. But long story short, Jolene just kept moving forward. She was in this, I'm sure she was a little bit, when kids go boom, right? They cry and they're hurting a little bit, but they move on. And this is, again, just that reminder where, we did it before, we can do it again, and we can continue to do it. And again, we can flex those bravery muscles in the process. Being able to always provide some useful, we always love doing this here at the Children's Book Spotlight series, especially for the parents, the grandparents, the caregivers that are tuning into the program. We always like to be able to provide some useful information, tips, tools, strategies, things that someone can immediately extract from a Children's Book Spotlight series episode and implement it into their own lives, and especially the lives of the children that they're blessed to have in their life, that whether it be, their own child, their grandparent, a child that they're simply just watch over in the process. What are some of the specific things that we can do as parents and caregivers and custodians of our little ones to do our part to help little ones face their fears?
I would say most importantly that it's important to make sure that you point out when they have done something that has cause for courage and bravery. One thing that we tend to do, anything we master, we tend to take for granted and kind of belittle it as if it's not really a big deal, but it is. So be sure to actively point it out. Well, hey, that was a great thing that you did. You were afraid to do that, and now look at you. Just giving compliments. Another thing is to encourage for them to try new things, and also you can try new things, a new sport activity together, so it's new to both of you. So it'd be interesting talking while you're both experiencing each other's first about how you feel about it, and then once it's done, you can talk about how you feel after it's been completed, and you can grow together. And I like that you touched on the thing with adults that many areas where we even still encounter that fear and try to get over that emotional hump with being courageous. And it's a reminder for us that it's okay. We've done it before, as you said before. That it's just an ongoing cycle. It's just take its power away. The last thing, I hope that it builds an emotional resilience, so that even though it's great to have these conversations, but the more equipped that the child feels, that they won't necessarily have to constantly look to adults for, I guess, any type of guidance. And that's one thing I like about Star, is that she is building how she feels, how she wants to approach fear, deal with fear, and handle courage, and it becomes a foundation point for her. They didn't have to tell her how to think and how to be. She kind of came up with an idea, formed it herself based on her observation and what she learned.
And I'm glad that you also touched upon those threads as well, too. With both of these books that you've written, 2 out of your 3 newest books, Kindness Is My Thing and Bravery Is My Thing, one of the cool things that I love is that you're empowering kids to wear these messages like badges of honor, right? Like kindness can just be this I'm just being kind to myself and I'm being kind to other people. And it's like kindness is extraordinarily bleeping important, right? We keep things PG in case the kids, of course, are tuning into the Children's Book Spotlight series. Kindness and bravery. Again, these are things where it's not easy to be brave. It's not easy to be kind, but it's simpler than we realize, I should say, to be kind, right? But it's a matter of, society wants us to be able to fit in. Society wants us to be able to do all of these other things. Society wants us to live in fear. Society wants us to be able to say, worry about ourselves first before even, give a rat's patoot about other people. And so again, just taking the time to be able to encourage kids to again, when I see the cover art of the book and you see Star, right, and she's playing soccer with her friends and she's holding this trophy, that's kind of like her winning the bravery championship, even though it's soccer, right? It's like this is her trophy for being brave. So again, just the little attention to details that Natcole gives to all of her children's books, because whether you are, no matter what nationality you are, no matter what age your little one is, no matter where you're at in your walk of life, right, you're going to be able to resonate with Natcole's amazing award-winning children's books. And again, they include Lacey's Moon, Dear Child of Mine, Kindness Is My Thing, The Great Grandma Buffalo, which will be featured this upcoming fall during the Kidlit TV Back to School season for an all-new featured in-studio episode of Kidlit TV's popular program, Read Out Loud. And of course, the newest installment in Nat Cole's great children's books, Bravery Is My Thing, the now successful follow-up. We're putting out a little bit of future casting for Nat Cole. The successful follow-up to Kindness Is My Thing. All of these books are now available by heading over to Nat Cole's official website, kinderpress.org. It's KINDERPRESS.org. You can also head on over to Amazon.com if that's your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. One of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Nat Cole, again, is by leaving a 5-star review for not only Bravery Is My Thing, but also Lacey's Moon, Dear Child of Mine, Kindness Is My Thing, and The Great Grandma Buffalo. That will remind her that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books. For all educators across the country and around the world, you can facilitate your very own either virtual or in-person author's school visit with Nat Cole during the spring or during the forthcoming back to school season. Again, you can head on over to kinderpress.org to connect with Nat Cole. And for all of our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars, you can stay connected with Nat Cole on social media. We've included her social media platforms in the description below to keep this conversation going post Children's Book Spotlight series. Of course, you know that I'm a big proponent of Mr. Rogers, right? You know, we have every once in a while, well, probably every day I talk about Mr. Rogers. Won't lie in some way, shape, or form. You know, that beautiful heart comes to mind. And every time on the Children's Book Spotlight series, we very much feel his presence. We feel his spirit. And he did this in different ways, shapes, and forms, Nat Cole, as you know, whether it be during his time on The Neighborhood when he spoke at various talks across the country, college commencement speeches. He most notably did this when he received his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Daytime Emmy shortly before he passed from stomach cancer. And he always kept the time, whether it be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or a full minute. He encouraged those to remember. He encouraged us to remember those who helped love us into being. And that was his way of helping us to remember those who reminded us that we were brave, right? Those shining stars, those superheroes who were modeling bravery back to us, whether it be the police officer or the firefighter or whomever the case might be, specifically for those people who have helped you to bring Bravery Is My Thing to life. Who are some of the people that you would like to publicly recognize that have helped love you, Natcole Staskiewicz, into being? And have also, I think this is the first time that I've actually mentioned it like this. Who would you like to publicly mention that has helped love Bravery Is My Thing into being?
Well, actually, I don't have any one person. I have amazing family, friends, and fans. The circle that I have of support, the people that I've recently met, and also anyone that I haven't met I always have a great community of people always surrounding me. So, I mean, my parents, I honestly, everyone that I have encountered with has been a tremendous level of support, and I love that. You know, it's all about. I'm a big proponent of the village. You know, and that even into adulthood, it's very important to surround yourself with those positive individuals that can support you in any way, shape, or form. So.
It does take a village because, you know, especially when you are launching a children's book into the world, let alone 5 children's books, you can't do it by yourself, right? You know, because, otherwise we would be like, we'd be like octopi. We'd have 8 arms and we'd just be doing, 8 different things at one time. That would be kind of, every once in a while, like, what would life be like an octopus if we could do 8 things at once? Maybe that is kind of cool, but, then we're able to have those treasured memories and moments and those connections with those people who have helped love us into being, because Fred always helped us to remember as well that whether those individuals are near or far, whether they're still with us here walking this earthly plane or they're here or they're in heaven, they're smiling, knowing the positive impact, the difference that they made on our lives in the process, which is always a beautiful thing. And of course, we're always huge Disney buffs here at the Children's Book Spotlight series, and we're going to be Disney buffs even more so in a little bit of a unique way. We're going to be sharing some amazing, exciting announcements on forthcoming editions of the Children's Book Spotlight series, but we are reminded that we have the ability to bring to form and shape our dreams, our desires, our goals, our ambitions, and we have the ability to help other people in our lives bring their dreams, their desires, their goals, their ambitions. We can help those people in addition to ourselves. We can help those people to fulfill their wishes. We go back to the year 1992. It was a great year. We remember the late Robin Williams, who voiced the genie of the lamp in Aladdin. And of course, we have a little segment here on the Children's Book Spotlight series that we like to call Three Wishes. Yes, this has been with us nearly since day one of the program. So this trolley stop is this genie lamp has gone through many trolley stops back and forth across the country, around the world. Whenever someone returns back to the Children's Book Spotlights, we put these wishes out for the children of the world. So here we are, we're talking about bravery, especially today. What are the three wishes that you would like to put out for the children of the world right now, or even just like the collective as a whole, so to speak?
Well, to have good health, myself and fans to have good health. Also that they're able to achieve all their ambitions. Don't let fear stop them, and don't worry about the outcome. You can always, even when you fail, if you fail, you can learn from it and improve upon it. So it's not the end of the world. So I hope that they pursue all their, ambitions. The last thing is that button that you were talking about. It would have been really nice to be able to travel back and have those conversations with our earlier selves, to arm for, okay, have time for development here and can get it going. So primarily that is the main thing that my wish would be. I don't really ask for much or anything like that. I just hope that my books reach who it's meant for, whoever needs to hear the message, that it does receive them, and that it does hopefully inspire them to play a more active role if it's something that may have lied dormant because of fear.
Well, I can probably say that I'm a better person having you in my life. I'm darn tootin' an even better publicist with you as a client on my end of things. But also I can say that my inner child feels more at ease and more comfortable. And thus I feel stronger as the result of reading all of your children's books. And it's so interesting how when books come into my life over 10 years, it's just interesting where it's kind of like, someone's keeping score up there and saying, here you go. It sounds like you need this message right now, whatever it lands up being. And it's just like these books, they just come in like clockwork, right on time. Again, we encourage all of you, our listeners and viewers, our friends and neighbors, our fellow shining stars, to head on over to kinderpress.org, to amazon.com, purchase your copy of Bravery Is My Thing, in addition to Lacey's Moon, Dear Child of Mine, Kindness Is My Thing, and The Great Grandma Buffalo. They are all now available. Again, kinderpress.org, amazon.com. If amazon.com is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing, you can leave a 5-star review for any or all of Natcole's 5 great children's books. You, of course, can let her know by doing that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books. One of the things that we also failed to mention as well, too, is we encourage all of you to head on over to your favorite local library, your favorite children's and independent bookstore. And if they do not stock their copy of Bravery Is My Thing, or Lacey's Moon, or Dear Child of Mine, or Kindness Is My Thing, or The Great Grandma Buffalo, make that kind recommendation. Let them know that you heard about Bravery Is My Thing and the rest of Natcole's other award-winning children's books here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. This is like my little tip of the cat, making a kind suggestion. We don't encourage you to walk in like a ball of fire to your local library and, demand something. Make that kind recommendation to your local librarian, to your favorite local bookstore owner in the process, and let them know again that you heard about Natcole's work here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. For all educators across the country and around the world, you can facilitate your very own author school visit, either virtually, remotely, or in person with Natcole during the spring, or of course for the forthcoming back to school season. Again, you can head on over to our official website, kinderpress.org, to set that up. And of course, for everyone who's been enjoying episode number 201 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, you can, of course, continue the conversation post-Children's Book Spotlight Series with Natcole by staying connected with her on social media. And of course, as many of you remember growing up, the beloved movie critics, Siskel and Ebert, when they loved a film, they gave it 2 thumbs up. Well, one of the fastest growing recommendations for children's authors and children's books in the world of children's literature is when my little guy, my faithful furry friend and companion, little Forrest, gives 2 paws up, and he is proudly giving 2 paws up for Bravery Is My Thing as well. So little Forrest is endorsing the book as well, which is always a pretty cool thing in the process. Raise your hand if you have had fun on episode number 201 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. We see hands from Natcole, hands from myself, paws up from little Forrest, hands from the little ones up on screen. As we like to say, that means mission accomplished and job well done. But of course, there are many more magical trolley stops to come if you have enjoyed episode number 201 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. If you've taken away some wonderful digestible nuggets where you can implement them into not only your child's life, but into your life as well, too. If you feel that this message of bravery and all of the things that we've discussed here today needs to be shared with someone in need, whether it be a youngster in your life or someone who is maybe moving through a little bit of a difficult time or something even largely more challenging than that, one of the many ways that you can also pledge your support for Natcole and us here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series and PR from the Heart is to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel, to share this very special trolley stop that you have enjoyed, that you have been enjoying. That is episode number 201 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. And of course, join the more than 10,000 members of the PR from the Heart family on YouTube. But again, there are many more magical trolley stops to come. It feels like I'm a conductor. There's more music, there's more miracles, there's more magic to come during the month of March and beyond on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. If you are a children's author or if you are a middle grade author and would love to share your inspiring story and the release of your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, just like Natcole did here today on this wonderful trolley stop, we encourage you to head on over to our official website, prfromtheheart.com, or connect with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on screen. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter/X. Before we would call it the artist formerly known as Twitter, that was our way of inserting some humor. If you remember back in the day when Prince was referred to as the artist, right? The artist formerly known as Prince. We're just referring it to Twitter/X. So for those who remember it being called X, or for those who know it being called X, for those who remember that social media platform called Twitter, we've got you covered. They're all at PR from the Heart. We are super excited as well because now it has taken nearly 10 years to come to fruition, but PR from the Heart has our own all-new official online newsletter. So to get the exclusives before anyone else on featured PR from the Heart children's author clients, wonderful magical television interviews that are happening. We're crisscrossing the country with various book tours, the latest on the Children's Book Spotlight Series and the Neighborly Reviews bookcast. Of course, we'll be mentioning that momentarily. You can head on over to our official website, prfromtheheart.com, and you can receive your very own special gift. If you are a children's author, you're absolutely going to be loving this. These are 3 simple yet powerful spring PR publicity tips for children's authors. So here we are. We love to be able to give back at the Children's Book Spotlight Series. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell the fellow children's authors and those who love children's books in your life to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official all-new monthly newsletter. Of course, we also like to give a little tip of the cap to, of course, we already mentioned Mr. Rogers a couple of times. So, of course, you remember one of his faithful friends as well, who really is carrying the torch for Fred Rogers, carrying the torch for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. You remember him and you love him as the beloved Mr. McFeely on the popular long-running children's television program. You guessed it, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We know him and we love him as David Newell. We just recently celebrated, David and I, the 3-year anniversary celebration of PR from the Heart's Neighborly Reviews bookcast, which is, of course, the popular children's book review program where we take the time to deliver, as a little tip of the cap to David's character of Mr. McFeely, deliver heartfelt reviews from some of the greatest children's books that are now available on the market, from the top award-winning and best-selling published children's authors, and for those children's authors who are on the rise in the world of self-publishing. If you are a children's author and would love for David and I to be able to share and review your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, you know where to connect with us, prfromtheheart.com, any of our social media platforms, all at PR from the Heart. And again, we are super fortunate and blessed to be able to, it feels like, if you remember the old radio DJ Casey Kasem, he would be counting us down during the top 40, right? So we are counting down now to the official celebration of the 10-year anniversary of our work as a publicity firm for children's authors. So we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this summer. And so we are looking forward to be able to connect with many of you and help more of your dreams take flight. If you were a children's author and would not only want to be able to share your inspiring story, but be able to connect with more parents and grandparents and educators through the media, to be able to facilitate whether it be a featured television interview or a national book media tour. Connect with us via our official website, prfromtheheart.com. Schedule your courtesy connection call. Let us see how we can be of service to you. One more time, we encourage you to head on over to kinderpress.org. That's KINDERPRESS.org. For those of you who are, scoring things at home in terms of the grammar and the spelling, we got that all covered. Also, Amazon.com. You can purchase your copy of Bravery Is My Thing. It is the newest book from award-winning children's author Natcole Staskiewicz. It is proudly celebrating its book birthday. So I've never wished happy birthday to a book before on the Children's Book Spotlight series, but books have feelings, books have souls, right? So it's important that we take the time to do that here today on the Children's Book Spotlight series. But in addition to Bravery Is My Thing, you can purchase your copies of Lacey's Moon, Dear Child of Mine, Kindness Is My Thing, and The Great Grandma Buffalo. They're all now available. You can leave 5-star reviews on Amazon. Again, those are just some of the many ways you can pledge your support for Natcole to let her know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books. Again, you can also make that kind recommendation. You can head on over to your favorite local library, your favorite children's or independent bookstore, and let them know that they should stock their copies of not only Bravery Is My Thing, but also Lacey's Moon, Dear Child of Mine, Kindness Is My Thing, and The Great Grandma Buffalo. Of course, for all educators across the country and around the world, if you're interested in facilitating your own in-person or virtual remote author school visit with Natcole, we've got you covered. You can check out her official website, connect with her through there, kinderpress.org. And again, let's keep the conversation going post-Children's Book Spotlight series. This is a really important message, and we can't just say, I talked about bravery today and that's that, right? This is like, I'm the responsible adult. Like here I am like doing a lot of walking and dancing, right? But this is I'm a responsible adult, and I talk to my kids about bravery today. This is something we got to do every day. So let's keep the conversation going post-Children's Book Spotlight series. We've included Natcole's official social media platforms in the description below. We hear the trolley. That means that it is time to go. But there are many more magical trolley stops to come. So once again, we want to thank you for your continued support of PR from the Heart, for your continued support of the Children's Book Spotlight series, for your continued support of children's authors and illustrators across the country and around the world, such as Natcole Staskiewicz, who are doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books as well, too. For the pillars of our community, local libraries and children's and independent bookstores. And above all else, we want to thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world one final time. We've felt his spirit throughout the course of episode number 201 on the Children's Book Spotlight series. Of course, we're referring to Mr. Rogers. And it's interesting because in many respects, in his own kind of private numerology, while he was walking this earthly plane with us, he reminded us of how special that we are. He reminded us of our inherent worth and value. And he did it by reminding us of how much he weighed. Interestingly enough, 1 letter in I, 4 letters in love, and 3 letters in you. Mr. Rogers, did you know that he actually weighed 143 pounds for his entire natural adult life? He must have had some great metabolism, let me tell you, needless to say. But that was his reminder that we are loved just the way that we are. So a little tip of the cap to Mr. Rogers, and because Natcole and little Forrest were kind enough to spend some time with us here in our neighborhood, we like to share our favorite 3 numbers of 243, because there's 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. That is our reminder that we see you, that we feel you, we get you, we understand you, that we like you, that we love you just the way that you are, that we see your divine worth, we see your inherent value, and again, that you're whole, perfect, healthy, complete, that we like you, that we love you, just the way that you are. So again, for little Forrest, for Natcole Staskiewicz, for myself, John Masiulionis, we look forward to many more magical trolley stops just around the corner. And again, if you've also missed any of the previous episodes of the Children's Book Spotlight series, remember that we've included the link below to episode number 186 in case you missed Natcole's prior trolley stop on the program. But again, you can head on over to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel and website and enjoy all past trolley stops of the program, as we, of course, are continuing on leading into the celebration of the 10-year anniversary of our work as publicists for children's authors and some of the great shining stars in the world of children's literature. So again, for little Forrest, for Natcole Staskiewicz, for myself, John Masiulionis, thank you for spending some time with us here in our neighborhood. And again, thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Goodbye for now.